Hey darlings, just an FYI, this is one of our earliest recordings and there's a slight issue with some of our audio, but the content is still amazing. So if you could push through, that would be amazing, and just know that all future episodes, this issue has been resolved.
Hi, I'm Tash.
And I'm T.
And we're here to talk to you about everything from life's little hiccups to the big things that you might be overthinking. And let's be real, it's probably not that deep, sis.
So grab your drink, get comfy, because we're giving it to you straight from the couch.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of It's Not That Deep, Sis. Again, I'm Tash.
And I'm T.
And we're so excited to share this journey with you. But before we get into the very first episode, I think we should introduce ourselves.
Yes. So I'll go first. So my name's Tiana, but you can call me T. I'm 28 years old, fourth year psychology student. I love all things horror and paranormal, and really I'm just a little witchy girl at heart. And if I'm not doing any of those things, then I'm spending the majority of my time with my pup, Piggy.
Piggy! We love Piggy.
We love Piggy.
I'm Tash. I am the cooler older sister. I'm debatable. I'm a qualified yapper and I'm about to marry the love of my life after being together for 10 years. I have two daughters who are surprisingly hairier than their father and do have a couple more legs. I am a game board enthusiast. I love long walks on the beach.
Don't we all?
And I take my wine very, very seriously.
Yes, I can attest to that. Absolutely.
Well, it's very exciting to meet you all, and let's get into our first ever episode.
So before we get into the episode, let's share the I was today years old. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So, do you know why dildos were invented?
I did not know you were going to come swinging out the gate with that.
Not for the obvious reason, but do you actually know why they came about?
No.
Okay, so in the Renaissance era, doctors actually invented the dildo to get women off because they thought that they could cure them of hysteria. So if women were emotional and what they called hysterical, they would go to the doctors and the doctors would use a medical device, which was a dildo, to allow a woman to release themselves so that they were cured of hysteria.
Wow. I wish it was that simple.
How wild. That's
wild.
why it came about. And I learned that from a cooking show.
Who would have thought that would come out of a cooking show? And who would have thought that I and the rest of everyone else watching would learn that on first episode of the podcast?
The very first thing that ever came out of my mouth was dildos.
That is wild. I have heard sort of similar things, but not that's the reason why dildos were invented.
Yeah, that was why.
Wow. Well, mine is definitely not as shocking as that. So I was today years old when I found out that you need to be changing your pillowcase covers out every 3 days. So shout out to my naturopath. We have been on a mission to try to find out what is the cause of some of the breakouts that I get along my jawline. And one of the things that she told me was that I need to be changing out my pillowcase every 3 days. So
number one, don't tell me what to do. That's too often.
Yes, but I've got a good way around it. So it's not as strenuous as like when you're having to change your sheets and your duvet covers and everything like that. You literally just have a few spare pillowcases. So mine are just from Kmart, like super cheap. And I just keep them in my wardrobe. And just before I go to bed on that third night, I take the pillowcase or the pillow that I sleep on and just change out the one pillowcase. So it's really easy. It literally takes 2 seconds.
Efficiency.
But I feel like it has made a big difference in my skin.
Your skin is glowing.
Thank you.
So I will say that it's probably working.
Yes.
I change all of my sheets once a week. So
Same.
Doing it more than that sounds exhausting, but that is a really good tip. Just change the one pillow that you sleep with. I sleep with 2, but still that's easier than changing all the sheets.
Yeah, exactly. And if you really think about it, like you've got so much build up that's going onto that pillow from your face.
There's so much bacteria.
And dead
even
skin
if you clean
cells.
your face before you go to bed, those dead skin cells on those pillows, it makes sense that there's so much bacteria in them that you should. It's the same thing. You're meant to actually get rid of your pillow every year.
See, that's ridiculous.
Who has money for pillows?
No,
really?
who has pillow money?
That's
I don't have pillow money.
It's going to have to be on the Christmas wish list.
Yeah.
Because no one's got pillow
Instead
money.
of getting me socks for Christmas,
Yeah.
get me fucking pillows.
The amount of times you have to change out things is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not about that life.
If I find another filter in my fucking house that I have to change, I
Right.
swear to God. I swear
Yeah.
to God. So today we're talking 30, flirty and thriving. So I am 30, but I'm going to be 31 very, very. So I am in my 30s now.
Does that feel weird to say you're in your 30s? Like, does it?
I think it sounds weird to say that I'm going to be 31 in a few months.
Yeah, okay.
That's weird. But you're doing your last year of 20s this year.
I am. I'm both scared, excited. I'm honestly feeling all the emotions.
All the emotions.
When I think about this is my last year of being in my 20s, I feel like it's more just emotional than anything else.
And for someone who went through that, I was so excited to be in my 30s. There wasn't one part of me that was sad about leaving my 20s and my 30s. And just as a reminder, you don't just like wake up the next day and it switches to like, oh, 30. But I was so excited to enter my 30s. But I still remember I was so sad that I would never be in my 20s again because it was an end of an era, even though nothing really changed over that night. But what we want to talk about today is our top 10 tips that we learned in our 20s to make the 30s the best years of our lives. Because studies show that 70% of people say that they are the happiest in their 30s.
Wow. That's a lot.
So we want to talk about how we can leverage off that and make the 30s the best years of our fucking lives.
Yes, let's do it. So one of the biggest things that I definitely have learnt from being in my 20s and that I'm definitely going to be taking into my 30s is going to therapy.
Preach it, baby girl.
Yes, everyone should go to therapy. And like, I know that obviously it's expensive. We are obviously very fortunate to live in a country where we do get free services or partially free services at least. And we have access to a lot of different mental health services and therapies and all that. But if you can invest in a good therapist that you feel comfortable in talking to, do it. It has made a world of difference. And when I talk about making a world of difference, what I really mean is being able to understand who I am and the type of person that I want to be. I've learned all of that through therapy. And I don't think that you need to be going through some sort of massive change in your life. Some massive change in your life or some huge traumatic event to have to go to therapy. I think it's just a really good, safe place to be able to, just speak to somebody who is completely non-biased and in your world and doesn't really know you, in a personal way. And that you can just talk things out. And just as your life sort of goes on, like sometimes I go into therapy sessions and we just yap. Like we don't really actually talk about anything significant. And I get so much out of those therapy sessions as I do the ones where I am bawling my eyes out. So biggest tip for me and obviously for the rest of you is if you are struggling with understanding who you are or the type of person that you want to be and maybe the people that you want to the people that you're trying to attract in life, therapy is a really good place to start.
100%. And I think that's what you said is so important. I think a lot of people think I have to be going through something dire. I have to have depression. I have to have anxiety. I have to have post-traumatic stress to go to therapy. That is not true. Every single person should go to therapy. If you want to be a better version of yourself, go to fucking therapy.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's such a good way to look at it, is that it doesn't have to be this big exploding thing that you have to go and talk about. You can just talk about your life, and it's having someone that is qualified, a third party external, that you can have a safe space to speak, and you're going to get so many tools in your little cute pink tool belt that you can use whenever you need.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really good tip. And once again, we say this from a privileged place that we live in a country, and we're in a demographic that we, can go to therapy. But if you look at all of the resources available to you, there are a lot of free resources. And also, I think, especially when you're in your 20s, if you aren't broke in your 20s, what are you doing? You have to be broke. So, but also, you think about what it costs to go to therapy and that money that we spend on drinking out or buying a new dress for every single occasion. Sometimes if we can just prioritize things like therapy once a month over that brand new dress, in the long term, as much as it doesn't sound fun at the time, it is going to be so good for you in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And make it sexy. Like therapy, going to therapy.
Please don't sleep with your therapist.
No, not like that. No, don't sleep with your therapist. You need a therapist if you're thinking about this, sleeping with your therapist, and another therapist for your therapist. You need to go to couples therapy with your therapist if you're having those thoughts.
So many therapists.
No, make it sexy. Like anything in your life that maybe you're sort of like not dreading, but that you're scared of. Make it sexy. Go get a little cup of coffee before you
romanticize it.
Or after. Yeah, you go like I did a thing. I went and did something scary. Now I'm gonna go and reward myself.
Get a little sweet treat.
Get a little sweet treat. Get a little coffee. Take yourself for a walk. Take yourself for a date. Maybe reflect on what did you get out of that? But like anything, make it sexy.
Yeah, love that. My first tip is travel. Now, I want to prefix this that you can travel at any stage in your life. You can travel with your parents, you can travel in your 20s, you can travel in your 70s, you can travel whenever, but travel in your fucking 20s. I have been... That's okay. And if you haven't traveled, and look, if traveling is not for you, fair enough. But I think one of the biggest things that I but I was such an introvert. I was quiet. I really struggled to make friends and talk to people. And when I was 19 years old, I'd never left the country before. I'd only been on one plane, and it was for the Year 7 Canberra trip.
Oh my God.
And I decided to drop out of uni. Well, not drop out of uni. I eventually dropped out of uni, but at the time I just put my uni on hold and I did a gap year after doing 2 years at uni. And I went and lived in England and I was an au pair for a year. And that was the start of my traveling obsession. And Tiana will know I am always on if you need any tips on Qantas points, I'm your gal.
Yeah.
I am always booking a flight or we're going somewhere. And I did a lot of it in my 20s. I did a lot of it on my own. I did it with friends. We've traveled together and I've done a lot with my partner, Joe. But honestly, it is my biggest tip is travel, see the world, meet people, learn other cultures, and do it whatever you want. I've done backpacking where we've slept in the same clothes for 3 days and haven't showered and have stayed in shared hostels. And I've also done the opposite where I've gone with my beautiful partner and we've stayed in 5-star hotels and, done all the luxurious things. It doesn't matter how you do it, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that I do wish that I had done a little bit more in my 20s was traveling. But at the same time, like you said, I've got my 30s, baby. And
you got grown-up money now.
And I've got grown-up money. I got money to spend.
She doesn't have pillow money.
I don't have pillow. It's priorities.
But yeah, get out there, book that ticket. Even if you have to fly Jetstar, just go and travel because you will meet people. You will build so much confidence. You will learn so much about the world and you will feel so fucking privileged to live where you live. And you will not take those little things that you have for granted.
Yeah, great tip. I think another thing for me that I really learned, especially in my late 20s, not so much my early 20s, but my late 20s, is that there is no significant timeline on how to do things. So I'm 28 and I'm in uni and when I tell people that I'm not going to finish my degree until I'm 31, the looks on their faces is like as if I've just told them that I do heroin. Like they,
she does that too, but
yeah, that's not the point. They are shocked, and it's almost like they just have this frightened expression on their face, like 31. Like, what is even the point in finishing a degree at 31? And like the way that I look at it is, okay, I didn't start my degree when I was in my early 20s, but I don't think that I would have been able to take what I have from my degree if I had started it in my early 20s. I don't think that I would have really appreciated it as much as what I do now. And also,
or even chose to do it.
Absolutely. And also 31.
Spring chicken.
I've still got like 60 years left of life. So if I wasn't going to do it, so basically, like when they give me that look of expression, what I feel like they're saying is, what's the point in accomplishing anything past 25? And that's really sad.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that when we leave school, we are so young, like 17, 18 years old. You have no idea what you want to do with your life. And then going into the workforce or trying a few degrees, which you did, and none of it stuck. And now you're learning who you are. And so once you learned who you were, you made a decision on what you wanted to become. And then you went to uni. Like, doesn't that sound like such a better trajectory than going, you're 17 years old, you have to make a decision right now before even going into the workforce and not even knowing yourself what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Exactly.
And I think the world and society is getting a lot better at understanding that there is no timeline. You do things at your own pace. You do things in the order that you want to do it in. And that gives us so much more flexibility. And I think that's why the stereotype of entering into your 30s used to be so scary, is because if you weren't married with children and own your own home, what was the point?
Yeah.
Whereas now we understand that we can do things whenever and in whatever time frame. I have been with my partner for almost 10 years. So when we get married, we were being together for a decade. A lot of people go, oh, if you don't get engaged and get married after a few years, you must not want to be together or whatever it might be. But we are choosing to do what we wanted to do. We wanted to build a home before we, got married. We're entering our 30s. My partner's 32 and we don't have children yet. And some people think, oh my God, like, you're never going to be able to have children. Someone's told me that I will have a pruned womb the other day.
Ridiculous.
And we could have let those societal pressures stop us, and we could have spent all the money that we did to buy our first home on having a big extravagant wedding, and we may not even still be in the housing market now, but we went off our value set and went, look, we probably want to have our own home before we spend money on a wedding. We also wanted to do all these other things before and if we ever have children, and we are so happy with our decisions. But it just proves that it doesn't matter when you do things or how you do things. As long as you do things that are in line with your value set, you will be happy.
Yeah, and it's also like, why is the rush? Like, what are we actually rushing towards?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just sit in the present moment and really appreciate what it is that we're going through right now? I feel like, and just like, obviously doing foreplanning and having things that you're working towards is really important. But what's more important is actually enjoying your life in the present moment. And that's something that I've had to really learn as well. And I feel like that's a lot of people sort of miss out on that. And like, if you ask people who are, in their 70s and 80s who are coming toward the end of their life, one of the things that they tend to say is, if they have one regret in life, it's not appreciating the moment in the moment.
We are in the good old days right now.
Right now.
And that leads me to my next biggest tip is do the fun things.
Yeah.
Mate, adulthood can suck. You have bills, you've got a lot of financial pressures, you've got career pressures, you've got relationship pressures, you've got friendship pressures. You're in a fucking pressure cooker. Do the fucking fun things. And once again, I want to prefix this, but it doesn't mean that you can't do the fun things when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But when you don't have as many responsibilities, do the fucking fun things. Enjoy it. Stop worrying about when you're going to achieve all these things that society expects you to achieve, and worrying about all these things that you have so much time to figure out. Do the fucking fun things. Have hobbies. Go out with your friends. Do whatever you want, but just do the fucking fun things.
Yeah. And trying things that you think that you're never going to, like, even like when we talk about hobbies, like, you don't have to stick to something.
No.
Like, you can have a hobby for a season. You can have a hobby for a life. Like, you can try something one time and go, that wasn't for me. But at least you tried it.
Yeah. Like, so for instance, I was a reader in high school and I stopped reading. And recently I've been taking up new hobbies. So I'm a Pilates princess now, and I've been doing it for the last 2 months and I adore it. I'm obsessed. When I get that little message on a Sunday night that says, you're off the wait list for Pilates tomorrow at 6:15 in the morning, I literally feel like I won the lottery. But that might not be something that I do for the rest of my life, but in this era, I love it. I've started reading again as well. So I have only started reading this month. I'm on my 4th book of the month. Once again, 2 years down the track, I might go, you know what? I don't really have capacity to read anymore. I might be so busy with everything else, but right now I'm absolutely enjoying it. So do the fun things, but never stop trying to do the fun things. Like just because you aren't a reader and haven't been a reader doesn't mean that you can't become one now.
Yeah, absolutely. And also do the fun things even when you are busy. I feel like sometimes we do get lost a little bit in a world that is so chaotic, and we make a lot of excuses for ourselves of we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have enough hours in the day. I'm too busy to do that. Still do it. Make the time, because especially the amount of time that we spend scrolling on our phones and it gives us no satisfaction at all, we can be using that to be doing things that actually make us feel good, or exploring things that potentially might make us feel good. That also leads me into my next one, which is that our work does not define who we are. So some people are very fortunate in life to be able to settle in a career that where it actually really fulfills their cup in so many different capacities. But for the majority of us, we work for really one reason, and that's to have a paycheck. And that's perfectly fine. Like that's the majority. But what we need to remember is that it's everything outside of work that actually makes up who we are as people. And I've really tried to start to implement this in the way that when I'm talking to somebody new, I don't ask you, what do you do? I go, who are you? Like, what is it that, like, what do you enjoy in life? Rather than being like, well, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
How fucking boring. And also, I hate when people ask me, well, like, what do you do for work? I tell you and I want to move on from that conversation.
Yeah.
Ask me, what do I do on a Friday night? Like, what do I do to get the most out of life?
Yeah.
And hobbies is a big part of that.
So true. And so when I turned 30, literally the month that I turned 30, I quit my career. So I had been working in a career for 7 years, and I'd worked my way to a position that within a few months I was going to be offered that next role that was going to be it. That was the absolute pinnacle for me. And I quit. I was like, see you, boy. And then I went to Europe for a month. And it was such a hard decision because my role defined me. I had the title, I had all of the things that I wanted that came with this role, but I was so unhappy.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a decision we didn't make lightly, and then I made the decision and I moved on, and I took a little bit of time off, and now I've got just a normal corporate job, and I haven't, I'm not any less of a person anymore because I don't have the title. I go to work, I enjoy what I do, I enjoy the people that I do it with, but I come home and my family and my hobbies and my friends and all of those things are what make the world go round for me.
Yeah.
And that was a really hard lesson that I had to learn, was that your job does not define you, and find a job that is going to give you the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah. And whether that be like flexibility, being able to work from home, or even if it's just the people that you work with, they impact your life in a really positive way. I feel like there's always going to be one element of your job that you don't like, but it's weighing up what is worth
100%.
it. And if it's taking a toll on your mental health, that's when you really need to take that step back, which is exactly what you did. Take that step back and go, what's worth it to me? Is this job worth it to me anymore? And just really weighing up those options.
Yeah, they talk about the 3 points when you look at like happiness in your career is salary, flexibility, and what's the word like where you get gratification out of it. And they say that the chances are that you're never going to have all three. And if you are someone that has all three, fucking good on you. That's absolutely incredible. But you always have to give somewhere. And it's finding out, well, what are my values and what do I value most? Do I value having a salary and gratification in my role? It means that I'm probably going to be working long hours and I'm not going to have a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Or is it flexibility and gratification? That's going to open up a completely different world. So it's finding what you value to give you the life that you want, because work is not everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So my third thing is, and I think this bounces off the career change, is that you can change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in your life, you can change your mind. Don't like the relationship you're in? Change it. Don't like where your health is? Change it. And once again, I don't want to sound so privileged that a lot of people may be in situations where they don't have choice in some things, but in most things in our lives, if we don't like it, we can change it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, is just because you chose to do a degree in your 20s doesn't mean that you can't then not go and, pursue a career in that. You can change your mind. You can change degrees. You can change states. Me and T, we moved from one state to another when we were in our early 20s, and it was really, really scary, but it worked out for the best. But if it didn't, we could change our mind and we could go back.
Yeah, and it will always be there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, especially with moving. Like if you're ever thinking about moving state or even countries, you can always remember that that state or country is always going to be there. Like if you want to go back, it's going to be there for you. But if you don't make sometimes those leaps of faith, you're always going to, for the most part, wonder what if, what if I didn't do it?
Yeah.
What am I missing out on?
Yeah. And they, it's always saying that one of those sayings is, it's not about making the right decision. It's about making the decision right. So just give it a go. Have the mindset that I've made this decision, I'm going to make it work. But if it doesn't, change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
We have this conversation around children a lot, is that, Joe and I have been together for 10 years. As you can imagine, we've changed so much as people, and we've gone through so many different eras individually as together. And when we first got together, we thought we wanted to have children. And then we went through a stage where we were adamant that we didn't. And, now we're coming into a new phase of our life where they're getting married. We might change our mind. And sometimes that can be met with, oh, but I thought you said you didn't want to have kids. Or I thought you said that you didn't like that. I did, but I'm changing, which means that I can change my mind.
Yeah. And it's not to say either that if you do change your mind, like whether it be a career, a university degree or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that that wasn't worth it for what you went through. You will always learn.
100%.
And also it shapes who you are as well. Like I feel like you still got to go through all of those things. And just because you change your mind doesn't mean those were a mistake.
No.
They're not mistakes.
You're always going to learn something, even if one of these errors or the scenarios you go through, they really hurt, you are always going to learn something from it. I listened to, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember who this was who said it, but she said that someone asked her, she's an entrepreneur, and somebody asked her what her biggest business mistake was financially.
I know what you're going
And
to say.
she called it school fees. She says, I don't like to look at it as a financial mistake.
Yeah.
I look at it as school fees because I was paying for an education, and I thought that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all of these things are school fees when you go through life, and
The lessons.
100%. Even if it doesn't cost you anything, it might have cost you some of your mental health, or it may have cost you time.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you learnt something from it. And if you can shift your perception to go, I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to make the most of this decision, but if it doesn't work, I can change it. And even if I choose to change it, I still learnt something. What a fucking great life you're going to have.
But one thing that I really had to learn in my, especially early 20s, that I really struggled with was setting boundaries. And this goes for all the relationships in your life. So whether it be with family, friends, your romantic relationships, work, bosses, whoever, sometimes setting boundaries with yourself, I think, is a really big one as well. And I'm still learning, but I definitely have learnt a lot with that in my early 20s. And again, shout out to my therapists who have
She's
helped
doing
me.
the hard work for us, guys.
Really is. But it is something that I definitely had to learn, and I feel like a lot of people do have to learn. But it has made such a world of difference of how I approach certain situations, and also how I look at certain relationships in my life as well. Because at the end of the day, you can set the boundary, but it's up to the other person to respect it. And if they're not willing to respect your boundaries, then that's when you need to think, is this person somebody that I want to have in my life?
Yeah.
Or again, it might be a situation. Is this a situation that I need to change or that I want to change? But having a firm foundation in yourself and what your boundaries are can make such a big difference, especially when it comes to decision making. And it honestly has made all the difference for me, and still continuing to learn, but I've learned a lot.
100%.
Mm.
I think setting boundaries, just like most things, is like building a muscle, because I will say in my 30s, I can be really good at some boundaries, but then there's certain people or certain aspects of my life where I do fold a little bit, and that's okay. Like, we're all learning, you know, we'll all figure it out. But I think what that comes back to again, what do you value? What is most important to you? And being able to set those boundaries to influence those, to be able to set boundaries to help support those values is really, really important. And it will, like, I think we talk about this a lot, is that, you know, you'll always have friends that are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And if setting those boundaries may eliminate people from your life, but just remembering that, and remembering that if they can't respect your boundaries, that maybe they aren't the right person to have in your life.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that you can never make somebody bend to your will of your boundaries. The relationship in itself it's going to crumble if you're going to try to force somebody to bend to your will with your boundaries. But it's understanding what boundaries, like what you're saying, like what values are important to you, and so what boundaries are important to you, and things that you aren't going to bend on, and making sure you stay firm and true to that. And if somebody doesn't want to respect that, then that's fine.
That's their prerogative, but it means that you don't need to have them in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my fourth biggest tip from my 20s, and this is because I did not do it until I was in my late 20s, invest. I know. Sorry, Mama's here. Mama's laying down the truth. But
makes my stomach sink when I hear the word invest.
And look, I'm no financial advisor, but all I know is that we have so much time on our hands. But I always think back that if I had just taken a little bit more time to educate myself in that field and do this a little bit earlier, I probably would have taken off a lot of financial pressures that I do feel in my 30s. Once again, I talk from a place of privilege, because not everyone is privileged enough to be able to have any funds to invest. But I think the biggest things was I didn't start learning about financial literacy until I was in my mid-20s. And that is terrifying, because by my mid-20s, I've had car loans. I've, traveled the world. I had HECS debt. It's like, so I entered into all these big financial obligations, and I didn't even have any financial literacy behind me. That comes down to like our schooling system. I think we should learn a lot more about finances in the schooling system. But when you put the responsibility on yourself, it is your responsibility to educate yourself the best way possible. And I really wish that I had reached out and used the resources available to learn a little bit more about financial literacy earlier, and then in turn invested earlier.
Yeah.
I just think that there's so much time up our sleeves, but if there's one thing that you can do early that is going to help you so much as you get older, just start investing, and listen to all the podcasters and financial advisors that you can listen to and get that financial literacy. And once you start, and this is why it's such a big learning curve for me, is because once I started, I realized it wasn't hard and it wasn't scary, and it is for everyone. And I can see the return on just the little things that I have done. And it's like, fuck, if I started this in my early 20s, I would have felt so much more comfortable now, but I didn't start to my late 20s, and that's fine. At least I started. But if you are 21 and you are listening to me right now, your mum says you have to invest.
And I think that, like what you said, I think sometimes the way that it's broadcasted to us is that it's not accessible to us because of the language that's being used around it, and it can be really scary. Like the language, and like typically from older men, they typically make it so that the way that they sort of project it is
confusing.
It's confusing.
It's hard.
And it's out of your reach.
You have to be rich before you start investing.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of when I hear the word invest, I sort of start to shiver at the thought of it, because when I hear it, that's what I think of. But like you said, like there are so many now resources out there, and especially from, women who strive in this field.
Yeah.
And have a lot of education and knowledge around it. They break it down and explain it in a way that does feel accessible to you.
Yeah, and it is accessible to us.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different platforms and way to invest now that allows any single person, because you can invest in some platforms as little as like 1 cent. So it is accessible to everyone. It's just allowing yourself to be open to that education and giving it a go. Because once again, you can change your mind if it's not for you, but honestly, if there's one thing that you can do in your 20s that is going to help you in your 30s and for the future you, is just start investing.
Yeah.
Do it, baby girl.
Also, just to add quickly to that, understand your super.
Fuck. And that is an investment. And it's a different kind of investment, but it is an investment. Do you know where your super is?
Yes, please.
Please find out what it's doing.
Yeah, because I will be the first one to admit that even in my late 20s, I have not jumped on the bandwagon of investing. But with saying that, I do understand my super. I have a lot more knowledge around my super where it is now than I once did when I was in my early 20s, even though I had full-time jobs. And also purchasing a home obviously is an investment in itself. But when we talk about the broader sphere of investing, I have not gone down that rabbit hole yet, but I will at some point.
100%. And there's so many different ways. Like I think there's 4 different avenues. There's like property, shares, bonds, and something. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, but there's lots of different ways. But I think for me, the easiest and most successful way is because to buy a property, that's not accessible. Not this day and age.
Yeah.
In this
economy? Hell no.
But if we're talking about accessibility and understanding that is easy for everyone, we're talking about shares, but at the end of the day, just invest.
Yeah.
That's do it.
And it doesn't need to be hundreds of millions of dollars. It can be whatever.
I started with $10 a month.
That was a month, baby. That's like every success story.
I know.
She started with $10 a month.
100%.
She's a millionaire.
Well, that would be nice. This couch would be a lot bigger. But that's how easy it is.
So the next thing that I've definitely learnt in my 20s is that the way that modern world is shaped our perspective on going into our 30s has really shifted. So when we look back at 90s, like movies and TV shows and any sort of like media back then, and as well as like the early 2000s, it had such a negative view on going into your 30s, and it was always meant to be looked at this really, really scary thing. And when I think about that, I always think about the episode from Friends where Rachel turns 30. And I feel like not myself, but the way that people view my current situation is really reflective in that episode. So when she's sitting down at the table with Phoebe and Monica, I think, and they're talking, like she's doing like a timeline, and she's talking about how she wants to have children, but before she has children, she wants to get married. But before she gets married, she wants to know her partner for at least a year. And so she should have met her partner yesterday.
Yeah.
And she's having this full mental breakdown because of it, because she's just about to turn 30. And when I tell people that I'm single and 28, they sometimes have this look of expression of like, oh, like, so do you want to like have kids then? Like as if it's sort of outside of my reach because I don't have a partner at the moment. And it's sort of like this perspective of like, are you sad?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sad, but not because I'm single. I'm sad for an abundance of other reasons, but not because I'm single.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would much rather not have the opportunity to have children, as sad as that may be, than to have to settle down with a partner that I'm not 100% satisfied with as a partner, and also somebody that I would want to be raising my children. To me, that's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That is a massive thing is putting your mental health first. And I feel like a lot of people now are putting off having children earlier in life or not having children at all because they want to get themselves to a place in life where they do feel like they have, you know, their mental health at a point where they feel that they can accommodate to having children.
And you're never going to be ready for them, but
not 100%.
Yeah,
no.
I think that what was really important from that is that there is no timeline. You can do things once again whenever you want. And just because you hit 30 does not mean things that are over. But above all, put your fucking mental health first.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Put your mental health first.
Yeah.
Always. Above anything. Even outside the scope of
Not
having
me.
children.
Don't put it before me.
Oh, okay.
Your mental health must suffer to accommodate for me. So my last tip is I want to talk about the Instagram trend that has been going around, and it's about having coffee with your younger self. So you're 30 and you're having coffee with your 20-year-old self. And I just think that this is such a cool little trend. It's so wholesome. And I think like from a surface level, it just shows us how much we have grown in that 10 years. But what I really loved about it is all the little things. So like if I think about doing that trend and, you know, some people are like, I met myself for coffee today and 20-year-old self was late and I was early. And it's just appreciating those little things that, you know, maybe you were really poor time management and now you've gotten better at it. For me, it would be 20-year-old self probably wouldn't have shown up. The anxiety to meet up with a 30-year-old would have just, I would have derailed me and I wouldn't have shown up. Whereas 30-year-old Tash now would have shown up to that appointment on time and confident and so excited to meet this 20-year-old person. So I think the two really cool things about this trend is looking at all those little things that you've accomplished and how much you've changed over those 10 years. And they're just so small, but when you say them out loud and you put them all together, they are big things. But the other thing is that if you do look at yourself and you look at it from not only where you are now, but what 20-year-old you wanted, I can guarantee you've probably achieved most of those things. And if you haven't, you can see how achievable they are.
Yeah.
Because I look at my life now and I've got so much more that I want to achieve and my life is not perfect and there's so many more things that I want to do. But the things that I do have and the life that I do have, that is what 20-year-old Tash wanted.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can take that for granted. But when we do this trend and we look back, we go, fuck, I have achieved so much. I'm got the friends or the family that, you know, the mental health, all of those things that probably 20-year-old Tash wanted. And I've got them.
Yeah. And I just want to say that if I met up with my younger 20-year-old self, she probably would have rocked up drunk. But also, the thing that I take away from it is being able to sit down with your younger 20-year-old self and just tell them it's gonna be okay. Like, it's fine. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
And the things that you're worried about now, I guarantee you're not going to be worried about in the next, month.
Yeah.
In the next couple of weeks, maybe in the next day.
100%.
Like some things, like you might worry about them here and there, like throughout your life. But most things, you're not going to be worrying about them.
Yeah. As you said, it's not that fucking deep. One thing that I will say to 20-year-old me is fucking sort out how to do your hair.
Or your eyebrows.
Oh, my eyebrows. Oh, my God. Actually, I would have a few stern words. Which would you want to have?
Really sit her down. Put a mirror up to her face.
I don't have perfect hair now. I have such untamable hair. My hair is thick and curly and it's like an afro. But the fucking things that I did to it in my 20s, I did not take care. It was horrendous.
But that's what it was though. Like 20-year-old you would have been like, nah, babe, this is the trend. Like this is what's hot.
Stop doing the quiff. Put the quiff down.
The quiff. Oh my God.
Stop plucking your eyebrows.
The big clip.
Oh my God. I know. I honestly, now that I'm angry. I'm angry at 20-year-old me.
So to end off the episode, we're going to just read off a quick Reddit post. And this one is shy in social situations. So I'm a great listener, but I have a hard time making friends because I don't like to talk much about myself with random people. I'm bright and filled with interesting things to share. I'm just so shy. It's also hard for me to carry a conversation with people I don't know. Unless I'm comfortable around someone because we've been around each other a while, I don't open up much. As a part-time student where everyone has different schedules, it's hard making good friends. Any tips? So I think we'll just give one tip each.
I think just to say that this is so common, especially when you are young, you are still figuring out who you like, what you like, and who you like. And Did I say that twice? Who you are, what you like, and who you like.
Gotta say it twice anyways. Reiterate it. Drive it home.
So don't ever think that you are weird or different, because yes, there are some really confident, bubbly people that love extroverts, but I was this person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest tip is you still haven't met all the people that are going to love you.
Yeah.
And it's hard making friends at any stage in your life, but I think the biggest thing is you do need to be true to yourself, and the right people will come. So if it is a little bit uncomfortable and you are struggling, it might just not be the right people for you. But stay true to yourself. If you're a great listener, ask people questions. If you've got some really exciting things you want to talk about them, and don't worry about what people think, because the right people will engage and you will find the right people. So I think you just need to put yourself out there, stay, be who you are, but don't worry if not everyone is your friend, because you will find the right people.
Yeah. And I relate to this a lot because, as we've said before, we've moved states. So moving to states, I didn't know anyone here but Tash. And making friends as an adult is really fucking hard. And there's really no way around it but having to put yourself out there. In order to make friends, you just have to do the scary thing. And it's scary putting yourself out there and putting yourself in situations where, you are meeting people you don't know. But that's just really the only way to get around it. There's no other way to do it. It's just sort of like dating. Like you're going to go through a lot of different people before you get to somebody that you do click with. And we're saying that as well. You're not going to like everyone, and not everyone's going to like you. 100%. And that's just the reality of it.
The other thing is this idea that you have to have this big group of friends. Fuck it off.
Yeah.
If you are a shy person and you prefer one-on-one time, find one really good fucking friend that you spend all your time with. There is nothing wrong with having one or two friends. You do not need this massive group of people, and don't let anyone tell you that you're a weird or a loner just because you enjoy spending time individually and having those really, really strong connections. It's just finding what fills your cup and who fills your cup.
Yeah. And also we're saying that as well, if you have friends that fill your cup in different ways. So you might have friends that you have, really light-hearted conversations with, that maybe are the friends that you hit up to go on a night out.
Yeah.
But then you have other friends that you go on hikes with and do, more like hobby-related activities. But you may have a friend for every different thing.
Yeah, because it's unrealistic to ever expect one person to fill up your cup in every single facet. You need to have people that you can fill their cups in different ways to other people, and vice versa. And that might mean having, a few different people, but fill your own cup as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that is it for today's episode and the first epi of the podcast. That's so exciting. Thanks for chilling with us on the couch. We will see you same place, same time, more yaps, and stay comfy, darling.